call this meeting to order. Okay. Got an A&R on Randall Road. Nobody's here to speak to
I
that?
have one on West Street.
West Street.
West Street.
Did you get on the agenda?
Yes,
What's
Did
that?
your hearing check?
it abuts a property on Randall Road, but it's off of West Street.
Oh, it is, okay. Talking about the same thing.
This is a plan that we prepared for Massachusetts Land Court. And we registered land, we took a parcel A, which is outlined in green on this plan, and divided it into 2 lots. They require us to call them lots, so lot 2 comes out of the larger parcel and is to be conveyed to the abutter.
Whatever you do with it. It's West Street, and then the butters on Randall Road.
Yeah, so the existing house, and so the property is separated by the railroad, the Massachusetts Bay Authority. So this was a backland parcel. It remains so, and we're just taking the 2 acres out of it for conveyance of fee.
Was it being conveyed to?
POTUS, right? Lynn POTUS.
So what's he gonna do with it? What's the purpose of that?
This is, that's, you might know as the solar project that's on Randall Road.
Yeah,
And I believe this is for shading purposes. Or to allow-
Oh, so they can
to
cut
allow
trees
somebody-
down.
shading, not shady.
Well, they
purposes.
call it shady, no, not shady, no.
Neither of them are building lots. Well, there's no
Not a
frontage,
building
I mean,
lot.
for
Yeah,
the.
it's not a building lot, so it's,
And lot 1 also is not a building lot.
So all the rules don't really apply, right?
You still can create,
created lots, you know, you just create new lot lines. No approval not required.
Yeah.
well, I'll move that we approve the plan dated November 11th, 2019, Assessors Map 14, Block 13, Block 13, Parcel 13.
You have a Form A
I do.
and a check.
I have a check, but I don't know what the amount is for. It's on your fee schedule online.
0 Point
Couldn't
Development.
find it online.
Hey, he's dictating.
Prepared for 0 Point Development by Hannigan Engineering. Creating lots 1 and 2, both not to be considered a building lot. I don't have,
What?
I don't have, do I have a book and page?
We have It's registered land, so there's a certificate number. Down at the very bottom in the center.
This?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here.
Certificate number 14222. Location plan 5.31-A Lot A. Approval under the subdivision control are not required.
That it?
Yeah, that's enough.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Identifying purposes. I mean, you know, we're not creating a building lot, so it doesn't have to meet any of those requirements.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, we ready to vote? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
And it's just a matter of
$75.
$75?
Yeah, town of Berlin.
Well, if they're paying at least $1 million for all that extra solar energy they're gonna get.
10, 12, 10.
What if the solar panels are gonna?
Do we have to sign anything when we don't? Yes, we do.
Who has the bill?
Here's the bill.
Here it's a signature, just like Trump.
Mine's. There's a new pencil in there, anything?
Yeah.
I think I got one someplace.
Here's the entrance pen.
That's my private collection.
Really, I didn't bring mine tonight.
Yeah.
We keep open one of those records and one of those.
Yeah. Wires tonight.
What's today's date? 12.
What's this? 10.
David Leroy, by the way, with the good engineer.
That's an H.
All set? I think so, we got your check.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's not very much money, it's like $1 million.
big thing together. Okay, what do you know about scenic roads? I thought that was a selection.
After a road has been designated as a scenic road, any repair, maintenance,
You're reading from the
reconstruction, or
building
paving,
inspector.
huh?
You reading what the building inspector said?
No,
Oh.
I'm reading, what we adopted was
Good.
Chapter 40, Section 15C in 1974 at the March 3rd town meeting. And we adopted Chapter 40, Section 15C. And all roads in town are designated as scenic roads except for Route 62 and 495. After a road has been designated as a scenic road, any repair, maintenance, reconstruction, or paving work done with respect thereto shall not involve or include the cutting or removal of trees or the tearing down or destruction of stone walls or portions thereof except with the prior written consent of the planning board.
Planning board, okay.
Or if there is no planning board, the selectmen of the town or the city council of the city. After a public hearing duly advertised twice in the newspaper of general circulation in the area as to time, date, place, and purpose. The last publication to occur at least 7 days prior to such hearing, provided, however, that when a public hearing must be held under the provisions of this section and under section 3 of chapter 87 prior to the cutting or removal of a tree, such hearings shall be consolidated into a single public hearing before the tree warden and the planning board, or if there is no planning board, the selectmen.
Okay, read that too.
So-
Any city or town making said scenic road designation may make an ordinance or bylaw establishing that a violation of this paragraph shall be punished by death.
So anytime you have a driveway cut through a stone wall, you have to have a public hearing.
Yeah, now, I mean, somehow we
Or a tree.
interpreted that over the years as that a person has a right to create a curb cut, and that in and of itself requires the removal of a stone wall. And so with curb cuts through stone walls, I don't ever remember holding a public hearing. All I remember is when Denny was talking about removing trees or people wanted to modify a stone wall outside of the creation of a curb cut, we'd hold joint hearings with him and do it. But I don't remember ever doing a curb cut. Now, is this a curb cut?
What are you talking about?
This is Lyman Road,
Yeah.
and it must be way down toward the end.
Okay. 169 Lyman Road, wherever that is. Opening through the wall, they got an A&R and now
Yeah, they want to break the wall.
they want to,
Now, Jay's comments were good, I thought, bring them in and say, yeah, you can do it, but you gotta do this and this. You can't just rip it down, you gotta,
Are we bound to hold a public hearing?
yeah,
I think
I
so.
thought I was just reading.
This is every road in town?
yep,
Except Route 62.
They're all
That's a
scenic.
lot of roads.
yeah.
A lot of
It
curb
says
cuts.
trees.
And trees, every tree in town?
Trees along scenic roads.
Along scenic roads. How far back is it along?
Well, on the town right away.
In town right away.
So, I mean, Denny used to come in and he'd mark trees, and then he would come in and do a hearing, and no one would particularly show up, because usually they were diseased or whatever, and
Well, of course, he was cutting the trees then, I see.
the tree ward,
The tree-
highway superintendent was the tree ward, so, it just fell into place. So we did some joint hearings with him.
Okay, so we have to have a public
He
hearing.
has the authority, if there's a danger, to take down a tree without us getting involved.
For
if-
public safety purposes.
if it's imminent, so.
Well, what, if we make a notice, don't we have to have some kind of, let people know where it's gonna be cut? Does there have to be some plans?
It doesn't say abutters or anything.
Just the public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to say, is that enough in the hearing and notice to say there's gonna be a cut in the stone wall at this address? We don't have to say anything about how it's gonna be cut, where it's gonna be cut. Okay.
I don't think so.
Doesn't sound like it.
And
But I don't know why I got the idea, and I don't know if we passed something later. That's the only thing that said scenic roads in the we looked at the town bylaws and looked at the scenic road, and scenic road is 1974, March 3rd, so. It doesn't look like there's anything additional later that might have said, you know, in those cases where it's a curb cut to, you know, access a new building lot, it's assumed that the right is there to make the cut. But certainly people have cut through stone walls to make accident without a hearing.
But we've done it wrong, it's time to get it right, right?
Well, there's
I
two
mean,
ways.
most of the time,
I mean,
curb
maybe
cuts
what we-
were granted by selectmen.
Selectmen, yeah. Now, I mean, maybe what we want to do is take an article to town meeting that just says, in the case of the creation of a curb cut to a lot for a new structure, new home or whatever, it's assumed that there'll be a break in the stone wall, and the planning board doesn't have to hold a public hearing in that instance or something. I mean, do you really want to have a public hearing every time?
Every single
I think the
Somebody wants to
selectmen
know.
should have it.
Well, they have to have a hearing,
For the curb.
they do a curb cut
I believe.
hearing,
They do a hearing, and notice and all that.
which is
I
that,
don't
see now,
remember having a hearing.
the selectmen do
I went and got
they issue a curb cut.
They do, but I don't remember ever having a hearing for it.
People go to the selectmen, they go face to face.
Yeah,
I believe so.
yeah. I
So
went
it's
face
not
to
a
face.
hearing.
So notice and.
I don't know, sometimes I believe I remember seeing a hearing on the posting. I don't attend
I
them.
mean, that may be the way that we divided up the responsibility and said, you know, the selectmen can do the curb cuts, and as a result,
I
they'll
thought,
assume that authority and.
I thought they did, right?
And realize the oversight. Good question.
How do we get an answer? Who knows the answer?
I'll wander around and ask.
I haven't put it on the agenda, but I just figured some stuff.
Okay, I'll send this
Just
lady, she
confirm
gave me an
when.
email, so when can we have a hearing? What has to be
What number?
completed?
Who is this?
Lot 3A.
June Roman.
Lead.
And why did she want a hearing? Did she want a curb cut?
And she went, the building inspector said you have to have a hearing.
Yeah, he looked at the bylaw and
So
said,
there's gotta be,
Yeah.
you gotta have written consent from the planning board, so she says, well, when can I
Start
get a
serving
hearing?
refreshments, I mean, people would come.
You have to speak on the chairman. I don't
Which
like
you're gonna
do
hearings.
nothing
It's-
but hearings.
There's not a lot of people.
We got 15 a year,
Well, why don't you
So
just
you can
answer and
answer.
say that's in the purview of the
or 15
selectmen?
building lots.
well,
There you go.
Well, he's gonna
technically
check
it's not,
what he just read.
unless we've done something along
Unless
the
we
way.
abolish the planning board, then they would get it. If there's no planning board, then it's.
Or if there is no planning board, the selectmen, but they have to have a hearing.
We have to have a field trip and go check out the stone wall. If it's a good one worth saving, or a piece of junk.
In which case we won't have a store.
Oh, dear God.
Okay, I'll send her a letter, say we're investigating it. What the proper procedure should be.
And we'll have an answer in,
January.
oh gee.
Yeah, that's the next
If Bruno
meeting.
freezes and she can't do anything about
I mean,
it.
we can't do a hearing until January anyway. If we need a hearing, we can post it, and it has to be posted twice the last time before 7 days, so it is not the 14-day requirement. So 2020 is. We're meeting sometime in January,
The
right?
10th and the, oh no. I don't know.
January
Ninth.
13th. Oh, man, not as far away as you can get. Which means that as long as it was in the item on the
You're looking at
3rd,
December there.
if it was on the item on the 3rd, so do you, if I discover that we have to have a hearing, I'll go ahead and post it for the 13th at 8 o'clock.
I think that's a good idea. Do we want to vote on that, or just?
Yeah, let's vote on it.
But
so we
that's
got a
just
record.
one, that's just one time. You gotta post it twice, right?
He's gonna do the whole posting.
I gotta post it, the December 26th, probably,
And then again,
on the 3rd.
and then again on the 3rd, and we'll have it on the 13th, okay.
27th.
Don't make too merry for Christmas, we just gotta get that
27th.
done.
And what?
I said not to make too merry for Christmas, because he's gotta get that done. But does the item stop any publication
Yeah, I'll
for
check.
Christmas. That's the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, do they publish?
And they might not publish it, because we don't know.
We do the telegram. Let me give, yeah, let me, how much is it?
$68. Get two,
And we
34.
we can't pay them because we don't have an actual bill?
yeah,
Is that what happens?
yeah.
We sign this and, but it isn't
But
considered?
she's got to charge it against something.
But are these new?
Nah, one's past 30 days due, and the other one's 60 days past due. I don't have the original.
We don't count for late fees.
I'll discover what I can about this.
Okay. You're a good discoverer. Okay, and I'll send her a letter. I lost my agenda.
One. Can I think would like to talk to the planning board?
Oh,
You
okay.
guys have a few minutes?
Yeah. What?
I had a question.
Oh, just a question?
Well, you can always lead to more. Well, let's start with a question. Trying to figure out the do's and the don'ts. We bought a lot on Lyman Road, lot 3A, got separated from the Bedford property. And if possible, that was one of the questions. We got a piece of paper from Bill from the show what we did. And this lot is about 7.4 acres with about 450 feet of driveway, frontage, sorry. And we were trying to see if we can split off a lot for our kids, if that's possible. And we need to do a soil testing, obviously. But what's the next step, or how do we go about it?
So,
You have two building lots with frontage?
This is one lot right now.
Yeah.
But there is enough frontage, and then there is about 7.4 acres total of land.
If you got two lots and each one has the required acreage and square feet and the
But that's a
frontage.
stone wall on the edge of it.
I try not to move it.
you've had perks done,
Yep,
and,
that's when this lot got established.
and those were for one lot,
Correct.
and that's all wetland in front.
That's
Correct.
the old skating place we used to go in the winter.
Okay, is that right?
Yeah. Used to run bonfires down there. Skate there.
So how do you get access to the lot in the back with all that wetland?
So, we're working on a driveway design right now. I'm hoping to have that this week from the David E. Ross Company. And this is one of the questions why I'm actually kind of here now, because if I need to do something for the driveway to accommodate another house in there, then I gotta know now. I'm doing this twice over.
The way the common driveway bylaw reads, it has to serve more than two lots. Is that right?
Right.
So you can't use a common drive.
But can you get access, what do they call it? The right of way?
Right of way easement.
An easement. If you get an easement for his driveway, does it need a common driveway?
Benedict,
Yeah.
is Lisa having her own house, or is she gonna have an in-law apartment with you?
She's gonna be with us.
Okay. That's what I had been told. Benedict lives on Gates Pond Road, and his mother-in-law also lives on Gates Pond Road.
Correct.
So they're combining households.
That's correct.
So you can have an engineer draw up a plan that shows frontage with 200 feet for each lot,
Yep.
and 80,000 square feet for, at least 80,000 square feet for acreage on each parcel.
Yep,
And you'll bring that plan into us and we'll sign it.
okay.
Um,
Then I got approved that for soil testing and everything was.
But then, the whole issue of whether they're buildable is a function of Board of Health and Conservation and all those guys. Because you've gotta show that you can create the septic systems individually for each lot and reserve areas and setbacks for wells. And now the wetland for the well and all that stuff isn't a problem because you can put them in a wetland, right? So all we be doing is saying,
This is your new lot lines.
you can create 2 lots.
You can create the lots, but it doesn't mean it's buildable.
It means it's buildable in the zoning realm,
Sense.
but not necessarily in the Board of Health realm, but, you know.
And then he can put 2 driveways in side by side and grant an easement from one owner to the
Yeah.
other for the driveway.
Yeah,
Does the easement have to be descriptive then with the engineered plan or not?
Yes, it should be. 'Cause
Yeah.
It should
Be
follow
recorded.
should follow the deed,
yeah,
follow the
you'd want to have it recorded. So if the lots ever got owned by
2 separate entities.
other than family, there wouldn't be some battle about, you can't.
Okay, so that needs some wording then of some sort. Okay, so I'll ask the Ross County.
But Ross is good, I mean, you'll be fine.
He'll know what it is. He's been through this before.
Yeah, he did all this too, at least if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
That's what I was told. And I'm working with him now, right now, on the driveway design to get that all squared away.
but that's the tricky part. You can,
What's the tricky
you
part?
can end up with a wetlands crossing for a driveway
You can,
with the, so,
but then you have to engineer it like crazy.
yeah, and
Very
the
expensive.
wetlands there is sizable, what's it, 120 feet across or something that's on this end, looks like, must be, maybe even more.
This is 100.
Yeah, so if you cross, I mean, if you came in here and crossed it there, and that's the buffer, right?
Yeah.
The 100-foot buffer, so,
Yeah, when I talked to Neil, he said it's doable. He says it's just gonna cost you a lot more money.
yeah.
There is like an existing
There's a car path,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there. I'm trying to,
and there's no
Maintain.
stone wall there, right?
no, that's already open too. Isn't that crazy? I actually don't wanna do anything. There's no reason for me to do anything in the wetland there anyway.
Yep.
And I can keep all this stuff right at the border
Yeah.
of the buffer zone. And that's it. So it's really not that big of a deal, I think. But you can start assuming too many things. All right, so when are you guys meeting again?
The 13th
13th.
of January.
Oh, you're skipping Christmas then? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell.
So, I get you. So I'll try to get an updated plan back that reflects this,
No, bring it with you on the 13th.
that shows then
Yeah.
2 lots in the front.
2 lots and then.
2 lots in the frontage, and then that there's enough square footage to go around. So basically after that, it's gonna be then just the Board of Health to make sure that the offsets are gonna work for this septic, because that's pretty much the
Yeah,
the
now,
big one,
I
I
mean,
get.
and Ross will help you with
Yeah.
that. They'll tell you whether the potential's there, whether there's gonna be problems. But you've got a lot of land out back, so it seems like there ought to be something available.
I would assume so.
Because it's how many acres total? 7?
7.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even if half of it was wetlands, you'd still have 4 acres.
Yeah. All right, I appreciate your time and your knowledge.
Thank you.
Who's running the Board of Health right now? Is that Paul McCall?
I don't know.
Who's chair of
No,
Board of
Paul
Health?
is
No.
Board of Health.
Is he chair?
Yes.
Right. Well, that's about.
Joe,
I
recognize you there.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'll work on this. Thank you very much, always.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
comes off your 80,000 feet, right?
Well,
Or does it?
it doesn't reduce the area. I mean, a driveway wouldn't reduce, so. I don't think it does.
So if you have it, if you have 80,000 feet and you
If you
grant
each
an
had
easement to
80,000
somebody
and you
else.
gave up an easement, it wouldn't mean your lot became substandard.
Oh, huh.
Because you're not conveying any of the property.
You know, you're still.
You're just
paying
granting
attention.
the process.
Before I lose it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You got some easements in mind?
Well, I've been looking at, they have a similar problem I was working on a little bit.
Okay, I lost something here on the open space and recreation.
You lost them?
Open space and we did an open space and recreation, open space and recreation plan as part of the master plan.
So, the master plan includes a section dealing with open space
Mhm.
and recreation.
Right.
And the Conservation Commission has spearheaded that over the years. And they have to do it, they did have to do it every 5, now they have to do it every 7?
I believe so.
Because you still have to do yours every 5. So, open space plan has to be done every 7 years. And our open space plan had lapsed by a month or 2. But the state had a program for towns under 5,000 people whose plans had lapsed or whose plans had never been created to get up to $10,000 to do an open space plan. So we applied, and we got the money, and the Conservation Commission and Central Mass worked on the plan, and they've finished it, or nearly finished it, so.
I must have finished it. And that
So
has to
they're
be
asking
submitted.
for a letter of support from the planning board.
Okay.
Who is asking for it?
Central Mass, they want to submit it with the final submission to the state, is that
Do
what
we
you
have to read it
Yeah.
first, or we just trust them?
Well, I mean, I trust them, of course, explicitly, but. But it would be nice to get a copy.
I heard they were putting a paintball thing in the back of your, where you got your chickens back there.
Yeah.
Okay, you wanna make a motion that we?
I move that we sign a letter of support for the open space plan,
Which we're gonna see?
which we'll ask for a copy of.
Could you ask them to send it to me as an email so I can put it up online?
Yeah, the Conservation Commission must have it. Did you second it?
I'll second it. But you didn't change the wording so that we'd get a copy of it.
Yeah, so we'll get a copy.
So it's a conditional approval.
Yes,
Right.
we'll retract our approval if we don't get a copy.
We'll approve it till we don't get a copy. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So this is to the Board of Appeals,
Yes,
and this is our copy?
yes.
Who's appealing what?
And
It
so-
just came in today,
So this is just a copy for the planning board.
yes.
The stormwater management report and all that stuff they had another one?
I think so.
Who is it? They?
This
The
is
people who took
Casa Investments, Inc.
the Worcester Sand and
applying
Gravel
for-
pit.
Oh, okay.
They want to build educational institution, residential care facility for not more than 100 patients.
Huh, we've heard this story before.
So this is, but this isn't an over 55, this is
This is
a,
where the old
No, I'm
55
saying,
was gonna go.
Yeah.
We've heard memory care, we've heard,
Well, put the rest of it, it's on the third
CC,
page from the turn-down letter from the
COs.
building inspector. Because they also want medical offices and then another building, I think, or a certain space for
you gonna
office
read it to us?
space.
What, you want me to?
Yes, please, for the
You want me
record.
to sing it?
oh God, really?
I have reviewed your conceptual plot plans to build a residential care facility at 180 River Road West. This property is located within the limited business zoning district. According to section 320, table of principal use regulations, a residential care facility for not more than 100 patients requires a special permit from the zoning board of appeals along with a site plan approval, section 1230. You are also proposing on an abutting lot 16,800 square foot mixed-use building. 7,200 square foot would be used as a medical office and support services for the residential care facility, and the other 9,600 square feet would be additional office space. Table 320 allows business or professional offices by right, but subject to site plan review, section 1230. The zoning board will make the determination whether your proposed project meets the requirements for a residential care facility. If you have any requests regarding this letter, please write or call me at this office.
So it's looking for a site plan approval from the ZBA.
Yeah.
So what kind of a
What kind of place is it? I'm not sure.
residential care for whom?
Alzheimer's.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
good.
memory care.
I won't have to move
Did
that.
it say
one.
memory care?
It says,
Oh, it
100
does?
patients for memory care facility.
It does say that, though.
What's the 100 patients for?
It's just, our bylaw just says, what does it say?
100 patients?
Just says 100 patients. Residential care facility for not
Residential
more than
care.
100 patients.
Like criminally insane?
And it's allowed only in the limited business zone.
Well, you're in a butter.
Yeah, I don't mind a memory care, but
They're right
criminally
here.
insane patients.
28, Ronald and Jean,
What number they got me down as?
at number 28.
Oh, wow.
That's not me.
So they're duplexes.
Oh, no, that's not true, number 30.
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm curious, did it say memory care in that or?
No,
No,
it just says residential
care.
care.
But it doesn't say
And-
what for what.
And they're calling it residential care, and they're creating probably 33 duplexes. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 33. 33 duplexes. Smooth.
That is smooth. That is smooth, that's pretty clever.
What?
Well, it's essentially a senior residential overlay
Overlay.
created without a town vote.
Right.
Up on, 66 units, which is the limit for
Plus a
not having to
16K,
trip the.
plus a 75K accessory building.
Yeah.
So
If someone, if this is residential
Residential
care,
care.
is that someone is there gonna be someone in each unit staying with them?
doesn't have to be.
They got a central location for all the medical people.
That's right. You could live in your unit, so you need somebody to,
A residential care facility is any institution licensed by the state which is maintained for the purpose of caring for 3 or more persons admitted for nursing or convalescent
Yeah.
care, for supervision and care incident to old age for ambulatory persons, or for retirement home care for elderly persons, including convalescent or nursing homes, rest homes, and homes for the aged. I think the
So it's stretching the
definition's a
rule.
little tight for what 33 duplexes would represent. unless they can really demonstrate that it's licensed by the state for,
Well, you could license the whole facility.
I know that's what you'd have to do, but I don't,
ZBA's got their drop cut off for them, don't they?
I mean, if they wanna do it, good, if they really wanna do it.
No, they don't.
But if they don't wanna do it, then you
This
call
is-
their bluff and say,
This is the way around it.
yeah. I mean, that looks weird, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't look like a,
Residential care area.
I mean, your facility at Northbrook 2 is closer, but are you licensed as a residential care facility? But, I mean, you're not even, because you don't have staff. You have staff, but you're not
But not
supplying nursing care.
year-round, 24 hours staff.
So, interesting.
So if it's
Yeah, you
24
stuff the-
hours, if
stuff the
that's
staff
residential
in the
care, then some of
7,500
the
square
homes
foot
have to
building.
be designated for the people taking care of.
Put them in the 7,500 square foot building.
Huh?
Put them in the 7,500 square foot building.
Yeah.
Put a little call button in every single unit.
Yeah. Get the pen.
Clever.
Ron, can we use a pen down here, please? Thank you.
Yeah, that's where we got back to June, and that's where it started.
So when's that
Jeez,
going
yeah.
before the Board of Appeals?
They just submitted it today, Eloise?
Yes.
So they won't get a date until January, probably.
Right, tomorrow was the cutoff of, I think it's January 11th meeting.
See what happens when you 105-pound football mix grabs your finger because you're holding a toy.
What?
105-pound pit bull mix.
105 pounds, okay, that's nice. You
I
tried
thought
to
he'd
steal his
taken my
toy?
knuckle off when it first happened.
Do you have a blank warrant? That we can all sign, that I can fill out in front of June
I think I might have one here someplace. Give me some time. I think I'm narrowing it down.
Homes for the aged, I don't know what that means.
For the ages or for the aged?
Homes for the aged, that's one of the choices.
Who determines who's aged?
Our wage is 80.
As long as you're over 55, right?
Maybe you're a protected class when you're 40, you're in the workplace. Maybe over 40. Is that language our language?
and, okay,
That's
so any
state.
definitions?
Yeah, not like a state. Because homes for the aged is about as vague as you can get.
But if you
So where
have
is
that
that?
disease that
It's on
ages
page
you.
109.
Oh, is that part of the definition?
That's what you were reading.
Oh, yeah.
Definition, yeah.
This came as part of River Bridges.
Original.
CCRC,
But maybe more related to what was going on with,
the memory care that he.
The River Run lot.
River Run.
because I think they, in the language in the development agreement, it says if they create a residential care facility, it would count in place of the CCRC when they moved away from that. And then they put this definition in.
Right.
See, the thing, it's funny is that we don't address any number of the units. There's no cap to it. Right?
No,
Right.
and I think,
I mean, we would never have imagined that somebody would make 33 individual
units, right.
Especially for residential care.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not, residential care is not required. It just has to
Unless
be a
you're like a
home.
heavy turnover.
It has to be a home for the aged, is what it says.
Well, what's the definition it's for, residential care facility, right? That's what they're proposing to do.
Nursing or convalescent care, supervision and care incident to old age for ambulatory persons, or for retirement home care. Retirement home care, that's not just living there, that's care.
That's
Yeah, and the thing
supervising
is-
care, right.
and
That
there's-
was what the definition was originally established
Yeah.
for.
But see, what you see in
And
this
this
is you
is
don't
not.
see
This is-
anything in here for a place for people to be living who are doing the caring. See? And you have to be there 24 hours a day if it's a
Yeah, but you don't
residential
need to,
care
you don't have
place.
to stay there.
Huh?
You don't have to stay there. I mean, people in the nursing homes that are watching the people in the nursing homes aren't staying there. They're not living there.
No, but they're there.
Right.
All the time.
But I'm saying, if they designate that 7,500 square foot building as their office.
facility.
Care facility,
Yeah.
and you got a call button on the wall,
Well, it doesn't say anything about
to get your
24
golf
hours.
cart and go see Mrs. Jones who fell out of
If
bed.
you go over to, whatever the place is, Whitney Place there,
Yeah,
half the time the people there don't even get people to come, and the nurses are on the floor, you know?
yeah. Well, this is,
And this is on a separate lot.
yeah.
Where do they ride their bicycles through the
Oh,
snow?
golf cart.
I
Very
think we
interesting.
need everybody's signature on that. So I can use all the money that we've got in all our accounts for our trip.
Good luck. Not going very far.
We could like tap into the senior housing fund.
It does say, prefacing homes for the aged, it says retirement home care.
Right.
It seems like you'd be getting some kind of nursing service or something in your home,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Maybe they're offering that, maybe that's what the.
Well, maybe we should get a better
the building's
explanation.
for. Sort of old bevy of nurses. waiting for-
But,
Can you use
But we
Brick Betty
don't-
when it's meal nurse?
I mean, we certainly don't have that at Brook Lane.
No,
So you can't simply build Brook Lane.
right,
You've got to demonstrate that you're doing something above and beyond.
right.
And if they can argue that it's in that other structure.
But then they're gonna say, and how do you plan to move the people back and forth between there, especially in bad weather?
Who's gonna say that?
Well, they're gonna say their services are gonna be provided into the individual
You
units.
know, so.
If they're not
I
gonna.
mean, we'll have to just look and see what.
I think we all ought to show up at that hearing.
Anyway, that's good. Good.
Very clever, though. I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Oh.
Somebody was
Are you
thinking-
looking for something in particular, Ron?
Yeah, we're gonna, somebody on the Economic Development Committee, we gotta jointly.
Appoint?
No,
Oh,
disappoint.
disappoint.
Yeah, I'm looking, I thought I was gonna
Well,
get.
that was all taken care of. You don't have to chime in tonight.
No, we gotta jointly sign it, and I thought the selectmen were gonna sign it, and we would sign it, and we will finish it. And I thought Margaret was gonna put it in my box, or Mary.
Well, we can certainly vote to authorize you to sign it, and then you can come up and sign. I move that we authorize Ron to sign on the planning board's behalf the appointment
The appointment of a member that never showed.
of a member on the Economic Development Committee that didn't participate.
Who is it?
We don't know.
She never showed.
Second. Is that all right?
Yeah, second.
I seconded it.
Okay, any other discussion? Here are none. We'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are you gonna touch this in the woods?
Yeah.
Or you better get up and let them know?
Oh.
Tell Ron.
Go. Ron, you got another customer.
Have a seat.
So change your seat.
First question, did you bring a check?
We're on a roll tonight, we have $75 already.
No way.
The finance committee gets that, so we don't get checks. They're very tough, but anybody's on this finance committee, it's very, very tough.
Okay, so I'm back with the continuing saga of the spite speed bumps. Okay, I love that term that someone came up with at the zoning board of appeals. It was pretty appropriate. So we've been talking to the building inspector now that winter has arrived. He has, in all his wisdom, our neighbor has kept the speed bumps in for even the plows they have to deal with. We're not even being charged more money by the plowing company to get a shitty, basically, plow job. Because, I mean,
Because you gotta go with speed bumps.
yes. So, of course, at least thank God for the rain and the warm weather. It's now cleaning up the, but for a week it was pretty lousy. So, we were talking to the building inspector. Apparently they even came down, he had fire marshal come down to the house, I guess, I'm not sure, today, yesterday, or what. In fact, I guess the funny story there is the fire marshal actually stopped, was even coming to our house because of when he saw the no trespassing signs, he thought he could drive down the common driveway any further. So building inspector had told him, you're the fire marshal, you can go. And that, I mean, this is, I mean, at least people that know us know they can still come, but it does look like you are going to be shot if you go across this this line. So what? So the building inspector said that we should come back to the planning board. And one of the main points being coming up to here is still going back to the original description of the original plan of the common driveway and what's a significant structural modification to that plan. And I know, when we came to you the first time, and you went to the attorney.
What do you mean by the first time?
the-
What do you mean by the first time?
Well, I came here in
June?
well, it was June, we
Yeah.
first came, right,
Yeah.
and then you had,
Okay, not the
you
original
spoke to the,
driveway permit,
what was that?
not the original common driveway permit. You're talking about-
No, he's talking about when he came here.
No, this was, right, this was at the time, the slope discussion. So one of the things he had done was a legal opinion, which was, I mean, one of the things, I mean, even when I looked, even the night I was looking over it, and I've looked at it many times in the past, the person never really answered the question that was really asked. No, because it was never the question about maintenance and stuff like that. I mean, they refer to different things. But what the changes were from what the original plan was. And I think one of the confusing points still at this point is, what is the definition of the plan? I mean, the zoning board of appeals, that seemed to be a question that was up. Well, what is this plan? Everybody wants to refer to the plan, but nobody can seem to pinpoint and to say, what is the plan? Okay, I mean, the only thing that's listed is on the plan, of course, is what was recorded, or at least what it seems like would be a description of the plan, is obviously the declaration of the easement covenant, and then also the actual location of the actual easement, what its widths were and what its location points are in that. So that is, so that's the, to this point, it seems like the description of what the so-called plan is. Now, the question is that the plan? I mean, is this the definition of what the plan that everybody refers to? And we're coming back to talk about what was, because nothing, in the plan describes anything about putting structures and modifications of this nature, or not even there being there in the first place.
Right.
And that is I guess one of the big question is this, what do we define as a plan in these situations? Do we know? Are we confident we even know?
So if somebody came to us today, they would show a profile, they'd show
Right.
the dimensions, and they'd show, so it would be an engineered plan.
Okay, the profile.
And so there's no,
Now, is there something?
there
like
is
the-
no engineered plan for this one as far as, I mean, I wasn't on the, I think I was off the planning board during this little stretch. 'Cause when was it?
1998.
Yeah,
We were on the other
We were
committee.
on the other one.
I can't remember this one.
I don't know, you don't watch
Um,
it.
Now, if there was, would that be something filed with the town and that
Yeah.
there would be
Yeah.
a record of it someplace?
And so, my suspicion is there's no, this was early on in the process of common drives. I mean, our standard procedure now is that you think about Derby Road, they came in and they showed us a plan the same way on Willow Road, Boylston Road, the one there through Simpaglia's,
Well,
and they
the,
showed us
West Street
elevations
one.
and.
The West Street one had the whole profile.
Yeah.
Elevation
Yeah.
profile.
So we end up with a profile that shows, what the
Grade is.
grade is and all that sort of stuff, and turnouts and, and where they're gonna be. And that was, like Sawyer Hill with the Common Drive, they weren't able to designate locations for the turnouts because it wasn't clear at that point where the driveway curb cut was gonna be on each spot, and so they didn't wanna create turnouts that were gonna interfere with driveways at a later time. But they did end up with a plan that shows you what's going on. So my suspicion is this is just early on in the whole common driveway world. And
Is there a place to try and look for it, or?
well, we had all our files gone through by Bob Morrison last winter, and he classified everything and went through everything that we had.
That cover page is, well, the cover right there, that's the one that's in the file.
Yeah, so.
This is
that's
the
it.
one that's when the file was recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Right. Which basically shows where the easement is.
Correct.
That parcel, there may very well have been a decision that it wasn't a complex site grade-wise. There isn't too much change in elevation from the cul-de-sac to the terminus.
Simple driveway.
So,
No big controversy on it.
it wasn't like
Building
Derby
on it.
Road or Simpaglia's or any of those where, well, even Sawyer Hill, up and down and wetlands and all that sort of stuff, so.
But
that's all that exists that we know.
That you know of?
And I think if, there's nothing in the Registry of Deeds, and like I said, Bob went through all of our stuff, and we've got common drives in a separate file now, and that's what's there.
That's impossibly coming in.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever found in the documents about this topic, I've read this before, but the statement of purpose for the subdivision book, it says the powers of the planning board and the board of appeals under the subdivision control law shall be exercised with due regard for the provision of adequate access to all the lots in a subdivision. I guess that's not necessarily a common drive, is it?
Well, any subdivision of land, it's probably not talking about a formal
Okay.
subdivision in that case, it's just a
Like-
subdivision of parcels.
By ways that will be safe and convenient for travel, and for less than
So
congestion.
what section are you in now?
This is the statement of purpose.
In the subdivision control law?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's different.
So it's a very vague,
Yeah.
kind of overall.
What's the difference between that subdivision and?
So the
trees?
subdivision
Well,
control law is the creation of of a way that's gonna serve for frontage purposes to create new lots, whereas the common drive simply serves lots that exist legally from frontage that exists from some other form.
So the common drives are in the
Regular zoning
Leanne
bylaw.
Grove, this is, yeah, okay, so this is their.
But,
Is there anything that's common in
Common in the what?
our,
Oh, is there anything in, no, I didn't find any similar
any similar language in the
text
contract?
in the bylaw.
I mean, the whole
It's not
notion
specific.
of the common drive is the rebuttable presumption, you know, the whole notion that you're supposed to supply each lot with a single-family access, or, you know, a single access, unless you overcome one of those presumptions that public safety is benefited, or retention of physical characteristics of land is protected, or the mitigation of wetlands impact is protected. So, planning board may from time to time adopt other factors, so no common driveway unless presumption overcome.
Right, and of course, coming from Crosby Road, there's wetlands that would have to be crossed.
Yeah, from the other
In order
direction,
to
yeah,
create-
because your frontage is on Crosby.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, because even back, I mean, when we this first passed, you know, the cross-section plan shall be drawn to a scale of 10 feet to 1 inch. It shall show a typical cross-section. Profile plan of proposed common driveway shall be shown. But
this one doesn't have it.
minimum width, surfacing, maximum slope, intersection with public way, all that stuff is supposed to be in a plan. No, we've never seen a plan for this one. Can I see the, yeah. Judy Clark, Ruth Wheeler, Charlie Yeager, Maria Menendez, and Tom Andrews.
That was the planning board.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Is that generally where the cul-de-sac is? Is it that close to the,
Yes.
so the cul-de-sac happens real quick after you leave the former road that came through?
Yes, correct. Brigham Road, basically all the, it must have ended like almost
Yeah,
really right
right
there
at
at
the
the
stone
line.
wall.
It was just a very short extension, and
And
then
then
of
they
course you
created
have
a
the big
cul-de-sac.
circle, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, and it comes in pretty much at that angle, which is kind of a, you can tell how they did the driveway first, it kind of, because it wasn't exactly the best decision, because when you're coming around the driveway like this, and you're coming this way, but it comes at this angle, so you have to make a greater than 90-degree right-hand turn
Yep.
into the driveway. Which actually, which everybody went the opposite direction because it was so convenient to do.
Yeah.
And it existed for years until Greg Tremelli decided that one day, he did it for years too, and suddenly he decided it can't be done. And therefore, everybody else can't be doing it. So, I mean, we've been tied up in court with a few other things on that. The day we went to the building inspector that evening, he smashed a window on my wife's van. Police have charged him with a crime on that, and he just had his arraignment in Clinton Court last week. So we've been dealing with that matter. Of course, he can't come up and now indicate that he did it wrong. He's trying to pass the blame onto my wife. So we're dealing with that matter right now. So yeah, But now that winter is arriving, we're looking at dealing with what we can with, say, and what is interesting is that one of the speed bumps has disappeared. That it was in front of the other lot. So they're not dealing with any speed bumps right now. We're dealing with 3.
You mean the first lot?
The first lot, yeah. So, and of course, I don't know where the speed bump went. I mean, it was like, I mean, our plow guy, I mean, we used Wachusett's tree and landscaping in
So
town.
you're not, are you in communication with the third party at all?
We were trying to be in communication with them through one of the other neighbors, but she's not speaking with that neighbor either now. Part of it, I think, various things, because they've showed up with us at various things and also other issues. So that's part of the
I
problem.
mean,
is-
one would argue that if the speed bump's been removed from their law, that,
But they're not on his lot.
I know, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, they're just,
If there's some understanding that it was not beneficial to them, you know, would they agree that it wasn't beneficial to you either? And, because what this essentially is a association of 3 parties that, according to the covenant, have the authority to deal with the maintenance and all those issues. So that if any 2 of those, and that's what's happened, right? 2 have agreed that there ought to be speed bumps. Well, did 2 evidently agree that one of the speed bumps should be removed? That one would assume, but you had no notice
no,
of
they
there
had
being
no
a...
notice. I mean, we weren't even notified when they did the thing with the speed bumps. They put out minutes that excluded that information. I mean, everything's sneaky and behind the back door, and there's absolutely nothing up front and ethical, or, I mean, it's just nothing but deception. And that's what we've been dealing with.
I wonder if you can imply that the statement of purpose for the subdivision rules would be a common purpose for the,
Common drive.
for the execution of the bylaw, of the zoning bylaw. So it's the same source.
Don't let anybody see.
But this was written by the same body that wrote this. And this is newer.
Common Drive is newer than that.
Well-
That's old, old,
Well, the
old.
common drive's newer than this.
Yeah, Common Drive's like, what, mid-90s or something?
But I'm just wondering whether,
That goes way back.
you know, looking at it from a legal perspective, whether you can take a statement of purpose for part of our regulation and apply it to all of
Well,
it.
you know, why would you call it the common drive? Wouldn't you think it would be for the common good?
Well, 2 out of 3 is good, I guess.
You know, and this behavior doesn't seem like it's for the common good.
No, I mean, it's like, I mean, you mean when at the zoning board of appeals, I mean, one member pointed out that, you know, obviously there's nothing discussing speed bumps, and as one person pointed out, there's nothing that also says they can't put down metal spikes. I mean, right, maybe it's one of those type of things. It's say, it's done for spite, it's done for,
Right.
to be nasty, it's done to be a way you can. I mean, we know he's trying to drive us out of our house. That is the sole thing. He's attempting to drive us out of our home. Of course, at the same time, he's attempting to drive us out of our home. He's made the entire area there unsellable for anybody. You know, especially the other lot that shares a driveway. There's no way in hell somebody would want to buy that lot and they come in and see what's next door. Last thing you want, I mean, worst real estate deal possible. What I find out right now is when you're, you know, next to somebody with clear mental illness issues. And he definitely has them. So,
None of that, I mean, we can be sympathetic, but there's nothing we can do about that. I'm just,
unfortunately, right, I know that's the issue we have. I mean, everybody wants to, like, talk about, like, talking with the situation, but it's, unfortunately, he's not somebody that can negotiate, he's not somebody that's reasonable. Our attorneys have found that out. Every attorney that has dealt with them has found it's like, this is just mind-boggling.
right. So I'm wondering whether, because we have this in our statement of purpose for the subdivision control law, it says safe and convenient for travel. Can we apply that purpose to the other document, which covers common
Make
drives?
a copy of that, take it with you.
I mean, what we would do, I would assume, is say to the police and the fire department, do you have adequate access? And if they said no, then it would seem as though the town would be in a situation where it would say something has to be modified. in
Well,
order
the
to-
town's gonna get sued.
Right?
Well, you may not get that though, because they can still, speed bumps don't hinder them from
Well, that's the, I mean,
getting.
I mean, that's our problem. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, it's like saying you have a 60-story building, you don't need an elevator. You can still get up there, you can take the stairs.
Yeah.
But, so you can always get there. I mean, it's not like there's a moat there that they can't drive over, but there's a certain point that's just ridiculous.
we say maintained and repaired or maintained, and snow to be removed in such a manner as to ensure the continuous year-round access to each lot by fire, police, ambulance, and other vehicles. It seems like if that was not adequate, then we would have cause.
But didn't you,
And-
haven't he already had a problem with the cops?
Well, so fire went down and looked at it.
We know that this week, the fire marshal went with the building inspector in
And-
Grove.
and-
Well, the fact that, apparently saying, the fact that you could get his excursion down there, it's fine.
I mean, that's our concern as a municipality is, you know, can we serve those lots through the common drive with this service, fire, police, and ambulance? And if they tell us they can get there, then I don't know where we go from that. you know?
And the only
It
other
seems
one
like
is,
that's what they're saying to us. And then we go to town council and say, what authority do we have to take action? And town council says, this is a three-party agreement. The covenant is between those parties. They're the ones who maintain and operate. And as long as they're not impinging on the fire, police, and ambulance access, it's an issue amongst the three parties, which is where we were before.
Right, and go
That
to
doesn't
the
help
ad-
you any, but it seems like,
Well, it does, I mean, go into the ambulance one, I mean, and now, I mean, you used to have emergency services, used to be under a separate, now it's all under one, the fire, right?
ambulance is under fire,
It's
yeah.
under fire. Because I know, I mean, Dennis was, head of emergency for years, and, at the zoning board of appeals, he was, I mean, he actually drove down. He was two of the people that actually drove down, and he was just like, I would not want to be the person in the back of that ambulance.
That's
on the
what I
back
thought.
bench.
Being bounced around.
Right, yes, I mean, it's like one thing you can say you can get there, but I mean, if there's a back issue severe, I mean, it's like, I mean, it is ridiculous.
I've ridden in the back of an ambulance that went
See,
main
I'm
roads to
thinking if we get
UMass.
something here, it would say in.
And it was
I don't know whether
horrendous,
you can use
just
this in
because,
other
you know,
areas, they're not gonna be able to
just being tossed around.
tell you.
Right, but if you argued that, you have to eliminate all the speed bumps in town, wouldn't you?
Assessor has signs.
No, but-
Establish a
but-
common
Well, let's put it this way,
scheme
the speed
between
bumps,
said
the
lots
only
for
ones I know in
utility
town,
and driveway
is there anything other
purposes.
than Gates Pond? I mean, I
So,
don't know every town,
No.
or every road. And those aren't speed bumps, I mean, they're speed
Definition of
humps.
driveway.
Speed
It's
trays.
huge.
They're called speed trays.
No, I would say
Speed
no.
trays, right.
Because they're flat.
I know the British, the speed
I'm
speed
just-
humps, I mean,
Yeah.
they're, but, I mean, there's, I mean, you can go over them easily without being a huge, I mean, it's not that,
Yeah.
right. Have any of you, I mean, come down just curious, just to see how?
No, they said no trespass.
I have,
Yes, exactly. So I guess the question then comes down to is try and work with emergency, because I think from the ambulance standpoint, it's, I mean, that's where it comes down. Yes, can they get there, but are they gonna get the person out safely? And that's, I mean, just the fact that they can drive there isn't, to me, sufficient.
there's one thing that we were just looking it over, Eloise showed me their declaration. On the declaration, on the top part of it, the introduction, they talk about the purpose of, and in there is for, establishing an easement, establishing utilities to go through there, and a driveway. And so, can we make the argument that in the creation of a driveway anywhere in town, you would not expect to see speed bumps in a driveway, right? And it's stated in the purpose.
Which is our purpose in those,
No,
in
it's
the,
in the declaration of the, it's the same.
oh, in their covenant?
Yeah, exactly. So declaration of driveway common easement. So in the front, it's talking about share a common driveway and utility easement as shown on the plan, and it is the intent of the declarant and its successors and assigns to establish a common scheme between lots for utility and driveway purposes.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but we're getting into that realm now, but can that be any reasonable person putting a driveway in who would not expect to see speed bumps? And it's stated as their intent, and it follows the signs, and so they would have to abide by that, I would think.
You say, anybody else has a common driveway, could not put speed bumps in.
I'm saying that in this particular case, it's part of the declaration that created this. And it states its purposes, and one of the purposes was to have established a driveway to service the lots.
On the driveway.
And would you expect a driveway to have?
Why not?
Why?
Exactly.
What is the purpose? It's
People-
not for the
people that
common
actually
good.
speeding down and running over my kids are out playing in the driveway. You know, could we object to somebody who did that? Who put speed bumps in their driveway?
I suppose not.
You also have to look at the reasonableness. I mean, these are the speed
Well,
bumps. These were the speed bumps that were put in. There's actually one of the other problems I have is without somebody actually driving down there and seeing for themselves, everybody takes the speed bumps. You see them every place, right? You see them down at, there's some at BMS. In the non-winter time, I'm sure they're taking up right now. I haven't driven over there.
Yeah, they're taking.
They're usually in the, you know,
Yeah.
things that are in like the 10-mile-per-hour range. These are 1 to 2 miles per hour.
1 to 2.
Yeah.
1 to 2.
You can't even drive that slow. You can't.
I know.
Well,
I
now
mean-
you can't.
You
I
turn
mean,
the
this
camera on, it's
is
gonna go
part
on
of
that.
the, I mean, these are the type of things people, you know, put in like to truly like prevent structure. I mean, usually you see maybe in a parking garage where there's a gate down, right? They want to make sure that people stop, have to come to a stop because they don't want them running through their gate until it goes up. Those are what these are intended for purposes, not for the purpose of what they're doing here.
Big bump.
So I mean, that's another piece is it's, you know, it's not, it's done, it's not.
It's malicious.
Well, and also, just to give you an idea right now, this summer he put up a fence right along our property line. He had a, you know, typical ranch-style fences, and he also put it along our arborvitae's. But he put it, just so happens where the common driveway enters our lot. It's at the extreme edge of the easement at that point where the asphalt comes into our lot. He put the fence, it's a 6-foot tall fence, right up against there. And now in the past week, as soon as the snow came, he's riding his snowmobile right along that fence and cuts right across. I can't see him. He can't see me coming out of the driveway. I mean, so he wants us to preach safety. We already had the police down there. Unfortunately, police can't, you know, make him make a common, you can't force him to make a common sense decision. But their response was, you'll just have to call the ambulance. Because they already saw, I mean, they acknowledge it's unsafe. But yet he's put the speed bumps, I mean, for safety, but the first thing he does is he's riding the only blind spot he can, he is cutting through there. So, I mean, again, this is, we're not talking about common sense. There's nothing logical or common sense. The guy's out for spite, he's out for his own meanness, and he's not a person that's willing to, be accommodating in any way possible. So I think, it sounds like, I'll check with this with the attorney, what you mentioned.
This is the only thing I can think of.
The other thing, we'll work with the, I guess, ambulance. I think that's one of the bigger things, is just because an ambulance can get there, doesn't mean its return is something that's.
I mean, our language, I think, looks for assurance from that body that they can accommodate.
Yeah.
And if they can't, then.
And the fire,
Seems like
is
there's
a fire
no-
marshal over the ambulance too, or would that be somebody separate? Do you know who that would be? Who would that be right now?
I think he's.
The fire chief.
The fire chief. Who's that right
Do we have?
You know, acting.
It-
Fire
acting
chief is
or-
Paul Kenneth Clark,
Paul Kenneth Clark.
at least
Is that
through
the
the
guy from
end of
South
this
Street?
year.
To the end of this year,
Correct,
another couple of weeks.
correct.
And then we don't have anybody, or we have?
They are
Interviewing
in
them.
discussion with somebody else to take over.
Is he the one that lives on South Street?
No,
No.
he chose not to go.
Okay.
So the current chief currently lives in Hopkinton. And he was the chief there for like 44 years.
Okay, so I should get contact with him. And maybe also Dennis, like I say, he has actually driven down there, and his feedback, I think, would be valuable for him to listen to.
Yeah, he's got the experience.
Yes. And he was speechless, actually, what to say after driving down there. He couldn't really. He said, if anybody's drives down, don't feel afraid to come into our area, turn around. We're quite willing to have people now see it. They said the speed bumps are, so people have an idea of speed bumps, but these are just extra things just to be obnoxious. Okay, I think the building inspector asked us to come in and speak, so I think got a little more information. And right now we're dealing with the matter through the criminal courts. I guess that's where he wants to go. Yes.
We should, next time we amend this bylaw, whether we should put this in it.
Put that statement?
Well, this, this whole thing, because it gives you a framework to interpret
Right.
the detail in the bylaw where there's something that's not stated or is ambiguous or whatever. You can then fall back on this as the kind of guiding, you know,
We had other things like
document.
that, we got a philosophy.
The mission.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it
So-
won't help in this situation.
Well, I'm just saying
But
that maybe
purpose,
we
learn-
should do
learn-
that.
learn
Yeah, but
lesson.
you're setting a standard and that helps going forward.
Yeah, just so that next time around, we've got a little more
Teeth.
ability to exercise what we've got in subdivision bylaw.
Mm.
Be safe and convenient for travel, which somebody should be paying attention to that. Why not us? Not sure you can do it retroactively.
Yeah, one separate question, completely off subject, since I heard you mention before. So is this committee looking for somebody to be on the Economic Development Committee? You're missing a appointee for that? Is that what I understand?
Yeah, I think he's always looking for people that,
Because are they down to 3 again now, Eloise?
Because I'd be interested, and I know something you talked to me a couple of years ago about when
Oh,
this
yeah,
came
get-
up.
get
My
con-
kids
get
are
in contact
finally
with-
phasing
get-
out of the town rec sports.
Yeah.
And I've even considering, I know this finance committee is full at the moment, but letting Barry know that I'd be available and maybe this way dip my toe into the water again.
They've been doing, I think.
Some cool
they're-
things.
They're reaching out, they have good one-on-one relationship with the management at the Simon Mall at Solomon Pond. They have good relationship with Highland Commons. They tried to do a survey, but didn't get much response from business owners in town, but I think, they might very well try to do that again. But it's, the fact that they're reaching out to those entities and there's a one-to-one relationship, which is really good, because they've assured Solomon Pond folks that we need to be proactive about certain changes in our zone bylaw to accommodate some of the changes that they need to go through as the giant malls crash.
Yeah, I think they
You know,
have an
with
opening
the-
now too.
Yeah, so
At least
Peter
one.
Hoffman, do you know Peter?
Yep.
So reach out to Peter and say, and Paul Anderson's on. You know Paul?
I do not know Paul.
Yeah, he
Lives
was
in the
there.
corner of Bellevue and
Crosby.
Crosby. You know where
As
the
you
red
come around the
barn is?
curve, it's got a beautiful barn, and then the house sets up back of it.
You probably know it, it's,
You know when you come down Crosby, just before you go by the end of Bellevue?
trying to think exactly where Bellevue is. I mean, I think in Crosby.
You know when you
from
cross the
South
railroad
Street,
tracks?
You come across, we're by Jones Road.
No.
Oh, no, continuing on, okay.
Down coming.
Yes, right
down
where
that
the
end.
railroad track, yes.
You
So
know
if you
where you
went to
come
your
across the
frontage-
railroad tracks?
That's Bellevue right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you went to your frontage
And that's
and
that's
walked a few
Paul's.
feet up the
Oh,
road,
okay, that's actually,
Bellevue.
oh, okay.
And Paul and Ann live right there in the first house after Bellevue. So he's on, Peter's on.
Peter's what you come.
Crane is on, Crane's on
She's on capital planning.
capital planning. Don't, where's
It's the other one that needs, I think they need more people on the capital planning committee
Just one.
too. One.
But isn't there a third person on economic development?
Yes, I can't think of it right now.
It makes me feel better.
Just
But they're short.
is there a possibility to, and I know it's an expense and everything else, but it might solve the problem, reroute his driveway through the back, through the wetland,
Yeah.
and come out on
On Crosby.
Crosby?
Is there a brook actually there?
There is a stream, I don't think.
Intermittent?
It's, it's.
It's not defined as a,
A waterway?
it's an intermittent stream?
Yeah, I mean, it's more often than not, there's water there. Probably.
They show it on the, is it on the
No, I mean,
Conservation Commission's?
I don't know if you can see that.
No.
Because this is,
Yeah, see, they show it as, a,
It's what?
where's the legend?
yeah, this is my lot right here.
Yeah, so it's that stream there.
So they show it as a stream.
Yeah, because they've got a riverfront and wetland resource area buffer.
How about a heliport?
You buy a monster truck that would just hop over all those speed bumps.
Right.
42-inch tires.
You were down there, just the fence went up?
Yeah.
I've been there.
Probably looking at it.
Have you?
Probably would be like,
The fence is just 6 foot high, right to the
Yeah.
edge of the drive, the
Yeah.
power drive.
Plus you got that wetland.
It skips and starts at the end of that side of it. So 12 foot,
Yeah.
6 foot high.
You're looking at,
Where the speed
Like
bumps
500
are now,
Yeah.
there's huge boulders on either side, so you can't, got told, can't go around them.
okay, well, thank you. Contact Peter.
Deep breath.
We'll see you.
It's defined as a stream.
Yeah.
You can put a culvert in, right?
You can, but it's a lot of.
40 grand or something, I think.
Hmm?
I think I heard 40 grand.
Probably. But by the time you spend it on lawyers,
So
nonsense,
we
court
submitted,
cases, every other damn thing.
Well, the whole driveway, maybe, say we spent 100.
Maybe we could start a
10%
GoFundMe
towards
page.
the house or something, or 5%, no, 20%.
What's the problem? I know what thing.
What's the problem with what?
What's being done there? What's he trying to accomplish, this other guy?
Who? Him?
Well, I know the other guy that's trying to, he says he's trying to drive him nuts.
He is.
Doesn't matter to us, the question is, what is he doing, and is it something that
Really?
we
Holy smokes.
should have some?
I mean, it'll drop to
role
13.
in?
Yeah, yeah,
But
even so.
they're not too many places to 17%.
No, unless you're like, you know, I bet you Marlboro wasn't that.
That's why we did all this.
That's right.
What is this?
All
Those
the-
are worth, our percentage of subsidized housing in the town is now 17%.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought it was gonna go to.
Which it means it should
We
drop
should get
to like
like-
13 and a half or something
Get
like
some
that.
prize for that, we're probably the top in the state, aren't we?
Mm,
No, you can
No, cities.
Boston.
How come you didn't tell us
Framingham, all
that
of
we
the
had the report
municipalities
back?
that- You know why? 'Cause
They
they're all
asked,
apartments.
they asked us
They're
for
all
a draft. If you look, the residences at
If you
River
look at-
Run and the Rockwell are talking about
Yeah,
the
'cause
same
it's
property.
Our
Our
what?
city as well.
The residences at, the second one down,
Yeah,
and that has a 0, but if you look at the Rockwell, they are
84.
in fact the same parcel.
yeah. So, I mean, it's not like they counted units that shouldn't have been.
No, but we just need to make sure their
Northbrook
records
1,
are correct.
Northbrook 2, Green Acres,
So,
Sawyer Hill LLC, which is now not 17, but 14.
15.
15, is it? Berlin Woods. Whitney Estates is 2, that's accurate. That's interesting that that one is accurate. And the group home. They only count that as 2?
I thought it was supposed to be 4.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
that's,
think it's supposed to be four.
Okay.
2 isn't right. So
Where's
if-
that?
If we were to accept the true number at Sawyer Hill and gain the 2, we'd still be at 201.
What else are you gonna do tonight, Ron?
I think we've had it, we've done it.
It only took us 10 years.
Yeah, right. A lot of interesting.
Solar.
Exactly, I was gonna say, a lot of, we burned a lot of personal capital in that 10 years.
17, bravo.
And you need to start thinking about your town report.
We're gonna say we're
Ron
at
has to write it, doesn't he?
17%.
Huh?
Doesn't Ron have to write that?
The committee can, he can delegate it.
Yeah, let him try.
You write it, I'll edit. You can all edit.
Well, you can edit.
The town report.
You did a good job editing last
Well, I
time.
need the facts. If I had the facts, I could write it.
We
Just
got
the facts.
we got the minutes.
All he does is copy, I just send him the highlights of the minutes.
Can you do that? That'd be a big help to me. You have the one from last year for an outline?
Yeah,
You still have that?
the contents should all be different this year. right?
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily. No, you can just-
Yeah, just
Cut
change
and
the
paste
names.
it. Cut and paste it. So you want highlights?
That town report's a real page.
Highlights
turner.
are right.
Yeah, Tom in the
I usually
previous
boil
time,
it down
he
to like 3 pages.
puts the highlights down of what happened during the year.
Well, the whole thing is, it's not very long, so the highlight's gonna be a single sentence for each one.
Yeah, but usually a couple of sentences per.
Yeah, so what I did with Ron's,
Boil it down, he boils it down from there.
okay, because what I did with Ron's last year is, all the content was there, all I did was try to prioritize it, like, what were the most important things we did first,
Right.
and these, other ones.
Right, because when I get it,
I hope you
it's
left the most important thing for
chronological.
last, because it keeps the suspense going.
Well, you gotta get people to get there.
Because when I hand it to him, it's
Use
chronological.
words that lead them.
Yeah,
I don't mind ordering it, that's okay. Yeah, if you gave me the chronological one, I would be happy to write it.
Terrific.
And then send it around.
All right.
See what 105.
Get out.
Get the-
I do it on the- list and see if it'll bubble.
We didn't vote on the minutes today.
Because I never gave it to you.
That's why.
Knew there was a reason why.
Ron said if we put in a budget request, we could get somebody to type it for us, didn't you?
Did you put in your budget request? They were due December 10th.
I said,
Today?
I said,
That's them calling, asking about it.
Yeah, right, where is the budget request?
yeah,
Well, did I send everybody a note? I was wondering whether we should ask for some money for our part of the town center plan thing.
What's
So-
town center plan thing?
The grant that we got, that we're gonna redesign the entire town center.
We are, huh?
Yep.
I think they'll have enough. The district local technical assistance program is gonna get asked for 20, well, a chunk, and we'll grant that through the commission.
But what about money for what we wanna do?
In addition,
What's a we?
We
This
is-
is me when you do that.
master plan.
We as
We've got it in the master
the,
plan money.
we as the members of the community, because the idea is to try to get
How much-
interested people in town to participate in some brainstorming, and it's gonna take some money to pay for this, that, and the other thing to do that.
So if you look at their
Coffee and
proposal,
pastries.
Renting out 19 cars for meetings, who knows? whatever.
Huh?
I don't know. It just takes money to do anything. And the money that we're getting in the grant is held by the consultants and shared with other
So,
communities and whatever.
project administration is 4,000. Orientation, community meetings, stakeholder discussions, so Berlin town outreach, planning, meeting, transcription, all that stuff, is $11,000 for the 5 towns, so that's 2,000 apiece.
Yeah.
Then data collection, there's closer to 3,000 apiece, which is major corridors analysis, housing valuations,
You know all
building
these
rates,
things. I think
demographics,
somebody
workforce
put it in the
employment,
wrong box.
assessor info,
Oh, okay.
drone pictures, visual assessment of retail mix,
okay, thank
conditions,
you.
vacancies.
You know what the Maryland is.
And then analysis, they got 20,000.
Buy a drone.
Existing,
I was planning to
we've
fly around my
got,
helicopter
we've,
again.
we've got 2 drones already, so
Ten guys
they-
for it.
we can bring them in. And the
Yeah.
commission's, the commission's got drones and they're licensed, they'll come in and do that. Existing conditions, mapping, housing analysis, economic development analysis, zoning analysis, priority parcels, so there's 20,000, there's 5,000 apiece for that. And review implementation framework with towns, develop goals, objectives, there's 18,000 for that. And then prepare final report, there's 20,000 for that. So,
So I don't know what their labor rate they're gonna charge us and how much overhead and all that stuff. I mean, you probably have been through it before, but you don't think we need any of our own money?
well, you've got 5 in your master plan money.
Oh.
Did we ask for another 5 in our master plan money in our budget request?
Yeah.
So, it's easy for us to say that we're gonna apply some of that master plan money.
Well, that's not
If
in
we
the
need
budget,
to.
that's not a budget request, that's an article.
It's an article on the warrant.
Yeah. We didn't put master plan money in the budget.
But,
We've always done,
Oh,
we've
it's
always done it
always
as an article.
no, but you still should tell them that we're gonna do it that way. They may get to a point where they wanna just include it as a line item. But it should be part of it. I mean, there's no harm in making it clear that we want 5 and we're gonna go to town meeting, because they need to figure that into the plan.
Okay.
So
you'll
we
do
want
that.
5 and then 5 on our article?
Oh.
No,
Uh-huh.
just 5,
Just
because
five.
we haven't spent, because we got the 10,000 for the open space plan, we didn't have to spend any on that.
Yeah.
And
Can we reallocate it, or do we just use it's master plan?
master
money?
plan, and this is
Overall.
master plan.
Yes, okay,
Clearly,
got it.
it's master plan.
Yeah,
You know,
that's an easy
it's,
one.
it's housing, it's open space, it's economic development,
Yeah.
it's transportation, it's all those things wrapped into one.
Right.
And from this, I would assume that we would, in parallel almost, go after some money from Safe Routes to Schools and complete streets.
Welcome to.
Complete streets. Yeah.
Okay, so that is something you gotta do soon, because the deadline is today, right?
It's been done, it's already submitted.
No, you're gonna add it to the budget.
No, you know, we've done it all the time by an
But
article.
we tell the the finance.
It's almost a standard line item every year.
Yeah,
Or,
but there's no harm in telling.
I'll send them, I'll send-
So you gave we didn't tell that selectmen want an article for 5,000 yet, because we
No, we
haven't.
just.
No, the warrant hasn't
the
closed.
warrant.
So, who knows that we want 5,000 for the master plan right now?
No one.
So all I'm saying is that because the 5,000 is a special article, it still comes out of the budget, so it still comes out of revenue.
Mm.
So it's important for them to know, as soon as they can know, that we're after 5,000 again. And there have been questions on the town floor about, well, how did, if you spend it all yet anyway? And we said, we don't necessarily spend it 5,000 every year, because sometimes we want to combine it and, make a bigger splash.
Well, your classic case, I mean, yeah, we did get funding source someplace else, but that was almost 10.
Yeah,
So it would have been 2 years worth of.
right. We got lucky.
Right.
And the fact that we're lucky that way shouldn't penalize the fact that we
No,
want to
because
continue to
sometimes you're
contribute.
not gonna be able to get that.
And you look at what towns are spending on master plans, we're coming away cheap. Holden, is it Holden or up?
Yeah, because
One
they
of-
left it all to the
One of those
end.
is like $80,000.
Yeah.
Is what Central Mass is gonna contract for to do a master plan for, I think, Upton or something like that. And I thought, I'd rather do it 5,000 a year and be innovative like we've been, pulling in grant money from this source and that source and combining it. So we're getting by with some good work without spending tremendous amounts of the town's money. We're
Fiscally
we're
prudent.
leveraging
Yeah.
the money that
Yeah,
we've got.
Exactly. And that's what we should be doing.
Yep. So I think that we're responsible in the approach that we're taking, so I feel good.
Well, it looks like we got something like close to $20,000 for master plan already
Well,
socked away.
some of that is money that's come from sources outside of the town, though. You think, well, you got 5 articles with 5,000 apiece?
That's the-
And what's the date of your document? He hasn't fallen asleep yet. Tom, I sent you an email about
just got it.
the second floor.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
what?
I do.
I sent you an email
Yes, 'cause
I
earlier,
don't-
last week
This
maybe,
doesn't make sense. to me.
about, were there ever
Fiscal year
any
20,
written plans
annual
to
town
add on the
meeting,
second
special
floor for the light?
Fire, police.
No,
Fiscal
they were,
year
they were just,
fiscal
you
year
know,
19 special
ghosted
article.
areas to be,
Carry.
Developed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But are they on a plan somewhere?
they should be on the
So
contract.
those are carryover?
Right.
Because we were talking about the conference room that's in the center, that becoming the stairwell to the second floor. And then there
There were
was.
2 of them, weren't there?
There were 2.
Yeah.
One
and
over
then
the fire department.
Right, and then the other one was, well, that was the one at the fire department, right? Because that conference room was on the
Right.
fire department side.
I kept thinking.
And then the other one was at the end by the elevator.
So,
Right.
yeah.
And then there was gonna be some dormers added to the front,
Right.
On the roof.
Do you
On
happen
the
to
roof
have
line.
a copy of that you
the
can?
plans, no. There should be, the plan, the construction set, I
You
think
don't
is.
have-
That's,
you don't
that's
have
what
the
I said
construction set in
before when
there.
this came up. I remember
Bylaws.
seeing that.
No.
area
That's
to
the
be
lead.
developed.
Yeah.
That's still there. So that-
Eloise, you said that,
Those were all-
you sent me an email about it?
Yeah,
Because I never got it.
oh, okay.
Some printing,
Maybe
some
your father
travel,
got it.
some
Yeah.
training.
Yeah, my
yeah.
father
Because I didn't want to
I
hit you
think we got like
cold
$2,000.
tonight.
16, 17.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't recall seeing it.
So I don't
And
think
usually
we
I
need to put an article this
check
year.
everything
We
that
could
comes
skip
from
it.
the town.
okay.
I think we got enough feedback about this.
No,
All right, I'll
I'm just-
check and see if,
See if it was sent, yeah.
in the plans, yeah.
Yeah, but the plan, there should be a copy, and I think it was on the flat files that are in the.
The wood file?
Where do we
But
want
the
to keep this?
stuff has
this
moved- has been
silly
moved around since the last time I saw that.
thing? You know, I'll get Bob- we'll get
I
Bob
wasn't
to come
sure,
and
would
figure
it
out
be
where it
in
goes,
the,
right?
like, the beginning
Yeah,
plans
he's
got a
or
good
the
idea, but we
as-built?
We could bring it back.
I don't know if it'd be in the
Couple days
as-built.
and
See, I
go
didn't
through
think it would
everything
be
that's
in the
there.
It would
as-built,
be
it
in
would
the
have to be in the
construction set.
beginning.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, man,
But
this-
there was a set of construction.
We can't
there
put
was
this
a
in our
construction
mailbox.
set That was there.
Because that
From
was,
Reinhardt.
We had enough of that
Reinhardt,
stuff.
Reinhardt Architects was
Okay.
the architect that did it.
okay,
I
I will,
remember
Associates,
those,
Yeah, because
The
we
stairwells.
That's
we
the
purposely
SHI. That's-
ghosted it on there so
Right.
that when we were having this discussion, then people would say, oh, we want to do this, that, and the other thing. And I'd
Tom
be like,
wants that.
No, he
This is
said
what
doesn't
we
want it.
originally-
He says it's all online nowadays.
okay,
so,
We don't need these.
Thank you.
yeah, good luck. I hope you find me, because that was a bit ago.
I move that we adjourn
yeah,
to
it's quite a
2020.
while ago. How old is your oldest daughter now?
20?
I move that we adjourn to
20?
2020.
How'd you get to that old so quickly?
I don't know.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.